Welcome to the distance learning packet for week 4 for IM2. Here we have page 4 and 5. 8A, I am actually not going to do for you because I need you to look back at the page 3. Page 3 has the hint on how to do this. You have to, it's on a prior video, okay? It's week 4, page 3 solutions if you would like help. All right? All right, just that's a disclaimer. It's on a different video for this. It's just on 2 separate pages. All right, go back and look at it. Okay. 9, how can the transformation that occurred to the function f of x be used to determine where the x-intercept of the function will be? So you would actually have to factor it, and that is actually how you can get the x-axis and y-axis, the x-intercepts, okay? So the solution for this one is you would have to, I can write it for you. You need to factor out the polynomial to get the roots, solutions, and roots, or you could also say x-intercept here if you want, right? Those are the same thing. Roots and the x-intercepts are basically the same thing, okay? There you go. All right, so the go part, this is plugging into values in here to see how it works, okay? The first two, they have the f of 0 and f of 2. I want you to be very careful on the first two. This is something you need to understand about function notation, okay? This is the input. Okay, this is what x is. The whole thing is the output. So in simple English, if I can change the first question, is it's basically asking what is the output given the input is x equals to 0. That's what it's basically saying. The second one, what is the output given the input is x equals to 2. The last two are a little bit weird. It's just that time now they're now giving you the output and they're asking for the input. So here they said given the output, or if you want to think about this as like your y, okay, as it says here, equals to 0, equal to 0. What is the input? What is the input? Same thing for the second one. It says given the output, which is the y, as equal to 20, what is the input? Okay, this is just function notations, right? I need you to understand what it is fundamentally before we actually do some problems. All right, good. Okay, so I'm just going to move this over here and this over here so we could have an idea of it. All right, okay, so let's do the first one. Okay, A, right here. A, f of 0. All right, so f of x is that equation, x squared plus 4 of x minus 12. Here they say now f is now going to be replaced by 0. So wherever you see x, you're going to put in a 0. So squared plus 4, that's x, so that's get replaces, minus 12. Do you see everywhere I see x, I put the parentheses, that tells me I'm going to substitute. And it's going to be 0 and 0 here. Now we just do the math. 0 squared, which is just 0, 0 is 0, minus 12. So f of 0 will get us negative 12. All right. The next one, done basically the same way. F of 2. I always start writing by writing the equation. F of x is equal to x squared plus 4 of x minus 12. I know it's a waste of time, but I just simply just do it. Parentheses, wherever I put the x, I put the parentheses. All right. Yeah, I know that the x here is going to be a 2. I'm going to change that color for us. 2 goes in for x, 2 goes in for x, 2 goes in for x. All right. 2 squared becomes 4. 4 times 2 is 8, and we minus 2 here. So f of negative 2 is equal to 4 plus 8 plus 12. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 minus 12 is 0. All right. So next, do you see this part? They say given the output y as equal to 0, it's already right here. Look, output 0. All right, the input was 2. Okay, so here you can write for this, the input was a 2. No, sorry, the input here was a 2, gave us that, and I forgot to write the answers here. For the first one was a negative 12, and this one was a 0, and that's a 2. Next one, they say f of x is equal to 20. So let me just write that for you. F of x equals to 20. So they say 20 is the answer, right? So do you see here? I start writing the function. F of x equals to x squared plus 4x minus 12. But do you see where f of x is? I'm going to replace that by a 20. So this goes away. What replaces it is the 20. Now you just have to solve for it. All right, this is when you do some more algebra. All right, plus 12, this gets you 32 equals to x squared plus 4x. Let's see. Well, we have to bring it to the other side anyways. So because we're gonna have to factor it. So bring this to the other side. Shoot. So I shouldn't do that. Okay. So normally we get x alone, but we can't in this case. So we're all gonna bring it to one side. All right. Watch what I'm gonna do. All right. So I'm gonna subtract the 20. Subtract the 20. I'm going to get 0 on this side. This gets you me x squared plus 4x minus 32. Here now you can factor it. All right. Xbox method. Okay. So A is 1, B equals to 4 right here, and C equals to negative 32. The Xbox method, the X method. On top you have A times B, no, A times C. And on bottom, you have your B value. Yes. Okay. So on top, you have 1 times 32, negative 32. So don't worry about the negatives for right now. So here, you get negative 32. That's an ugly way of writing it. Negative 32. And then on bottom, you have a 4. All right. Now, the question you want to ask yourself is, what are the factors that on top multiply to make 132? So your choices are 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 3, nope, 4 and 8. And that's it. That's it. Is there anything else? No, that's it. Okay, so these are the numbers that can multiply to make 32, right? But now you also want to make sure that they add in a way that makes up 4. So in this case, this is out. This is out. The only answer left is 4 and 8. All right, so your answers are x and 4 and x and 8. But one of them has to be negative, right? Because we're trying to make 4. So which one's going to be negative? It's probably going to be the plus 4 minus 8. Okay? No. Yeah, wait. Does that? No, that's wrong. Negative 4 plus 8. Because once you multiply this together, right? 8 plus negative 4 gets you that 4. Right? Negative 4 times 8 gets you the negative 32. Correct. So your solutions here are x. Do you see minus 4 equals to 0? That is when x is equal to 4. Here, x plus 8 equals to 0. That is when x equals to negative 8. So your answer here for this one is 4 and negative 8. X is equal to negative 4 and 4 and no, positive 4. Right here, positive 4 and 8. All right. Okay. So notice these are very long problems to do. So, but you just have to do them each time. All right. So I'm going to do 11 now. Okay. All right. So before we move on, I want to give a disclaimer. I looked through 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and the part D will actually require you to factor. So this whole process is the process of factoring, and you're going to be doing that next week, okay? So I'm going to give you the option here. You can skip part D if you want to. You're not going to be held accountable for it, but you still have to do the rest, okay? So I'm going to show you on how to do all of it, but I'm not going to hold you accountable for G. You should try it because those are very good problems. So, all right, let's simply do 11 now. All right, and I'm just going to walk you through it. So it's going to be a pretty long video. All right. Let's see. I have G of X. The first one is G of 0. Okay, so G of X is equal to x minus 5 squared plus 2. It says x is going to be equal to 0. So in this case, wherever I see the x, I put the parentheses. And in this case, it is going to be 0, 0. So what does that get me? 0 minus 5 is just negative 5 squared plus 2. So G of 0 is equal to negative 5 squared, which is 25 plus 2. So G of 0 is equal to 27. Next, I said G of 5. Okay. My G of X is x minus 5 squared plus 2. I want x equals to 5. So wherever I see x, I put the parentheses. Okay, there's a 5 here. I'm going to make that in color so you can see it. There's a 5 here, a 5 here. So G of 5, a 5 minus a 5 is 0 squared plus 2. 0 squared is just 0, plus 2 is just 2. So G of 5 is equal to 2. G of 0. So G of X equals to 0. That means G of X is equal to x minus 5 squared plus 2. So this whole thing is going to be equal to 0. 0 x minus 5 squared plus 2. All right, so you would have to factor this one out too as well. This is pretty brutal. I don't know why they're making you do this, but okay, whatever. In this case, let's see. All right, we're going to be smart mathematicians here, and we're just going to use different graphical representations. So I'm just going to graph it. G of x is equal to x minus 5 squared. I got to graph this much better. X minus 5 squared plus 2. All right, plus 2. Okay, so you see how we made our life so much easier by just graphing it. So x equals to 0 is down. This is when x equals to 0. So x equals to 0 is all the way up here, and x equals to 25. Perfect. X equals to 5. That is when we plug in a 5. 5 equals to 2. Perfect. Then the next one, the output is 0. So we want to see where y equals to 0. Y equals to 0 is right there. Okay, so that is when x. So do you see y was 27, x was 0? So you can write here y was x was this, y was 26. Was that correct, or 27? Let's see. No, 27. Yeah. So x was equal to 27 here, right? And the y was equal to 0. Good. Right here, y equals to 16. What is the x? So y is equal to 16. Let's look for it. Oh, it's right here. Oh, it's a fraction. Ugh, that's ugly. You see, this is a very nasty problem. All right, so you could say it's 1.27. Ugh. So x is equivalent to 1.27. You see, part D is very ugly. All right, so I'm going to give you permission to just graph this. It's very brutal. For 12, just pause the video. I'm going to do it by hand. Then we're going to show you the graph, okay? All right, here you go. These are the first two in detail. C and D, I'm just going to graph. All right, so the output here was 0 for the y when my x was 3. So that's the answer for C. The last one, D, the output was 16. That's what they have. And the x for that was 7. All right, there you go. I'm going to do 13 now. 13's right here. It's going to be done the same exact way. Just A and B, calculate it, and C and D, we're just going to graph it. All right, here you go. These are the first two. This is G of 0, and this is G of 5. Now I'm going to throw in decimals. Okay, wow, 13 gets ugly really quick, the math here. So, yeah, if you're trying to do this by hand, it's pretty brutal. There's a lot of fractions here. So C, the input, so the x for C is 0.268. There has to be a fraction there. And the output is 0, so that's C here. And then here, D, you're looking for the output is -3. This is where the output is. Where is it? -3 is right here aroundly. So it's right there. So X is around -0.44 something. Okay. I'm not surprised. So there you go. I'm not surprised if these two bottom numbers are even as brutal. Okay. So 14. I'm going to do 14, then graph it as well. All right, so here you go. I plug in 0 for the first one. F of 0 equals to 25 for number 14. And when x equals to -2, f of -22. When x equals to -2, f of -2 is 9. Now I'm going to graph it. All right, so when the output is 0, so the output 0 is here. So f of something equals to 0. F of -5. So when x equals to -5, the output is 0. That's the answer for C. D, you're looking for the output equals to 9. So it's right here. Notice the output here is 9. So the x here is -2. So that is your D. X equals to -2. Your output will be 9. That makes sense because I did the calculations for part B right there. All right. And now we are going to do 15. Okay, and I'm just going to show you how it looks like on the graph. So the first one, this is if you graphed it, your g of 0. So looking at x equals to 0. So x equals to 0 is there at 1.828. And also, no, 0 is in the x, I'm sorry. So 0 in the x right there. So when x equals to 0, the output is 7. That's your answer for A. And for B, your input is 2. So input is 2. It's right there, I think. Yeah, roughly. Yeah. So the input is 2. The output is -1. G of x, you're looking for the output is 0. So this is when output is 0. And this is also when the output is 0. So there are two functions. There's two of them, the positive and negative. That makes sense because when you do the root, there are two answers. And here you're looking for 4. When it equals to 4, there are two of them. Here is at 1. When the output is 1. Is it? Hold on. Yeah. When the input is 1, the output is 4. Yeah, because that's the only one. The other one would be negative, right? No, wait, no, right here, same thing. Yeah, so there are two inputs. X equals to -3 will get you an output 4, and a input of 1 will also get you an output of 4 for 15. All right, so there you go. Those are all your solutions. Yeah, those are all your solutions. I know it's a long video. All right.